Greetings, jiu-jitsu nerds, and welcome to this episode of Beast with Brains podcast. This episode is very special. We talked to Danielle Kelly, arguably the most popular female grappler in the world and a trailblazer for the sport of women's jiu-jitsu. Also, if you guys want to see the special clips that come from this episode, make sure you follow the Instagram and Twitter page for Beast with Brains. And if you like this episode, smash that like button, leave a comment, and this could be foreshadowing a in-person interview that Danielle Kelly and I will have in the future. So if you guys have any questions, we'll leave a segment at the end for fan questions in particular. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and just remember that it is also available on Spotify. Spotify is going to be the home of early releases to all the episodes, mainly because it's audio only, and that is a bit of an easier lift. But all these YouTube videos are going to be the premium version of the interview that'll show B-roll to kind of give you an idea of some of the things that we're talking about. So without further ado, here is Danielle Kelly. Jiu-jitsu nerds, it is a very special day, an interview that I've wanted for so long. It is Danielle Kelly. She is the first ever atomweight world champion, and she is taking the time out of her day before she gets on with her travel to speak with us. So Danielle, thank you so much for the time. I know you're super busy, but how have you been?
I've been really, really good. Thank you. I like watching your interviews. They're always like super cool and fun to watch.
Thank you so much. I just got done watching one of yours, and I think it's a lot of people's fighter stories kind of start out with like the whole experiencing some type of bullying. And I saw that one time there was someone that like ran into your shoulder, and it reminded me of after at a CJI after party when I was like all over the place, and I accidentally shoulder bumped someone, and then I look back and I'm like, please don't tell me that was Danielle Kelly. And I think it was you. But you had darker hair, so I was like, no, that wasn't Danielle, and I'm just lit right now. And then I found out, I'm like, oh my God, I think that was Danielle.
Yeah.
But thank you for not fighting me.
I don't even remember that night. Yeah. I don't know. There was like a lot of people, actually. I don't really remember.
Oh
I was
my
like all over the
gosh.
place.
That whole weekend was so crazy. Were you originally there to watch ADCC stuff, or did you come for CJI?
I was actually flown out by Jocko Fuel, the sponsor. And like I have friends that work for ADCC, so I think at the time Jocko was sponsoring CJI like that year, like or last year. And the other year was at ADCC. But I went to both of them. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm a fan of both, so I watched both matches. Even though like ADCC had like more of the girl matches because there was there's three divisions now. I'm like kind of out of the loop. But I wanted to watch those matches, and I was really excited to watch CJI as well. So like that was a lot of fun. But I'm a jiu-jitsu nerd. Like I'm a fan of all jiu-jitsu.
Yes, and then you still do like a lot of the MMA picks and different things like that. So I think just being an all-around like combat sports nerd is such a thing, but jiu-jitsu I know is where your passion truly lies. And I remember when you first signed with One Championship, they gave kind of an option of like, if you wish to do mixed martial arts, then we would totally let you, but you're just so in love with jiu-jitsu and focused on becoming the best in that sport.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, like when I first started training, like since I was a kid, which was like a long time ago, I really wanted to do MMA, like striking. But at the time, like I always say this story, but my coach didn't really like train me, like long story short. And my dad, like he's not like he loves women's sports, he was always supportive, but it was women's MMA just wasn't there at the time of like making money or have all these like big names of the girls in MMA today, especially young or older. They only saw like Cyborg, like Gina Carano wasn't really like known, but he just never really agreed with like, oh, pretty girls shouldn't be fighting, like you don't make any money, blah blah. So I was like, okay, Dad. But yeah, I fell in love with jiu-jitsu, and it was like much more, I guess, safer for kids nowadays. Probably not.
Oh my gosh, it's still so rough for sure. But like the way that your game has transcended the casual audience, I feel like when people think of women in jiu-jitsu, there's, like you mentioned in the Few Will Hunt, there used to only be kind of the Gabby Garcia and the Mackenzie Derns that got the recognition. But now you, Ffion Davies, they're really moving the needle no matter what. And that's why I was so excited that you were there for the inaugural CJI. I know you're good friends with Ffion, got a picture with Gabby. What was your initial thoughts on the showdown that was going to be going down between Mackenzie Dern and Ffion?
I was really excited for it. What's I feel like I can read things like before it's the announcement, because they were kind of like finding the opponent for Ffion. And I look at ADCC, I'm like, who's like worth watching? Who is worth like who has a big name and people are gonna be so in tune to watching that match? I said it's probably gonna be Mackenzie Dern because every girl in ADCC at I think it's 122 weight class or 121 for ADCC, like that bracket. They all want to go into Mackenzie Dern because she's this big name and everything. And I can relate because I guess I'm kind of like one of the big names and people are always calling you out. So I kind of like figured like, all right, I'm pretty sure it's Mackenzie Dern that's going to be this in the super fight. And, a few days later it was announced. I was like, I knew it. But yeah, I was really excited either way. I know Mackenzie has always been focusing now on MMA, but she still dominates in the fights while using her jiu-jitsu. I've always been a big fan of both of them, so it's really cool to like see them represent women's jiu-jitsu.
And you were also a big representation of women's jiu-jitsu. You were there for the inaugural UFC Fight Pass Invitational, and obviously you went in a different direction with One Championship. But tell me about your experience with the UFC Fight Pass Invitational, because I feel like being on the first card of the UFC, really taking the first steps into grappling is such a big deal. So what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, honestly, like I don't really like to really put myself out there, but I was looking at old videos and I didn't realize like I was the first super fight for like Fight Pass. And this was like a time when like I think that there was three super fights. The main event was like Gordon Ryan. The co-main was Craig Jones. Like I was there, like up and coming. I competed alongside with these really like respectable names, famous now. I'm able to train with, Gordon Ryan now. Not train with him, but learn from him and everything. I'm still a huge fan of both of them. But just to like look back and like be in that moment, knowing that, I guess, I was the first to do all that. It's pretty cool feeling. But a lot of people I feel like would kind of like discredit me saying that I'm not. But then it's like, if you look back at like 2018, 2019, I was kind of there. So but I'm in contract with one, so I can't really like compete in the UFC. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, well, they definitely miss you over there in the UFC because I know they're putting on a lot of women's matches. But when it comes to your time at One Championship, it is always the action. And I just remember one of the most heartfelt moments after you getting another performance bonus and you just bursting out into tears and crying and wishing that your parents could be there to watch that.
Just giving you a $50,000 bonus for that performance.
I worked so hard since I was like 10, I just wish my parents were here to witness this, but I'm so grateful for the support.
About the things that you've been able to accomplish with One Championship, what would be the standout moment for you that is just like, yeah, that was the big moment for me that just brings me to tears if I think about it?
Well, I will say like the first match, that was like kind of like even before I signed with One, like I was in Fight Pass, like doing super fights. I was always nervous, so it was always like every time I stepped on the mat, it was something I felt it was either gonna change me or I was gonna like grow from it or something. I will say the time that I got my title, like I won my title with One Championship was against Jessa Khan. It was a rematch. Um, I, it's kind of like weird to say because during that time too, there was just a few people I will say that instead of trying to enjoy the moment of being like a world champion, like those few people try to take it away from me. So it was kind of like, dang, like did I really earn this or not? But I was able to represent Silver Fox that time. And like I was under Illuminati and everything. Every time I go out there, I'm always trying to represent me, represent the team, represent all my training partners because that's without them, like I wouldn't have been there. With that being said, I think with the Jessa Khan match, in every match mostly, I felt like even today, like I think until people roll with me, but I always get looked over. I don't know if it's like I think guys go through it too. It's not just a girl thing. But we're going against Jessa Khan from a respectable big name school, AOJ. Maisa is from there as well. You know, beating someone in that caliber. She submitted Adele. She submitted every girl. Demir's almost submitted Maisa at one of their Nogi World, or not Nogi World, Pan Am's. Like, I've been studying like all of them. That year, like, I beat Jessa and almost subbed her. And like, that will never be taken away from me because I worked so hard to like get back at her. And I thought we were gonna have a rematch, but that's like another thing. Probably not, but she's still young. Like, she has a long, if she sticks with it, like, you know, she can get back into it. But I beat someone like so good that, you know, it's you no one can really say anything or take that from me or say, oh, Danielle's this. It used to be Danielle Kelly is an Instagram model, this, that. And then yeah, I don't really like hear of that anymore. So it's like, all right, I like proved myself, so I have to keep doing it.
Yeah, you definitely shut people up. And out of all the people, I mean, I feel like in general, fighters get a lot of hate online, but I do notice for you, like there are just people that come at you. And I think it's probably a combination of the fact that you're also beautiful. You have other things going for you other than jiu-jitsu, and people that just like eats away at them. So I'm sorry that you have to deal with that, but I'm so happy that you got to shut them up.
I mean,
You
it's not
won the
just that.
title.
I think it's different. Like, there's people that will always have like opinions in all sports. Like, oh, this baseball player is better than this baseball player. This basketball isn't this. It happens in all sports.
Mm-hmm.
Happens in jiu-jitsu. Like, there's always going to be someone better than you. There's always going to be someone with a bigger name. If you have a bigger name, like, people just, it's more easier to put the blame on that person. It's easier to, you know, like, it's kind of like hard to say just because like I try not to think, oh, I'm not really a big deal. Like, I don't think that at all. But I realize, like, when I walk into like a room and it's jiu-jitsu, like, we're all there to train. Sometimes it's hard because, you know, I'm sure like I think Craig Jones actually mentioned this in one of his interviews like a long time ago. He does seminars and people try to like go against him really hard or like test themselves, and it's like, dude, like what are you trying to prove? So I do go through that, or I have gone through that. I Yeah, at that point I just kind of like, you know, I try not to roll with people a lot anymore at my seminars. And I'm much smaller than most people, so but I will say, like, growing up, like, as a kid, teenager and adult, it really just depends like who's in your corner. If you have like the right people in your corner, you won't have like those issues. But unfortunately for me, like, I just had the wrong people in my corner.
And the comment that you mentioned about Craig and people like trying to kill him at seminars, I can't even imagine what that must be like. But it sounds like you're surrounding yourself with amazing people that you're training with now. I know you're kind of going back and forth. I don't know if you want that to be public information. This isn't live, so if you don't,
Yeah, it's okay.
I can cut it out. Okay. But I saw some of your posts. You're training with Trinity and Mayor. So how has it been like getting rounds with such high level girls that are also close to your size?
Yeah, and there's also like other I can't pronounce her name, so I apologize. But there's a lot of like very technical girls who are like world champions and everything. It's really good. They beat me up, they push me, like, we all push each other. Trinity, she's up and coming. She just had a match and it could have gone either way, but she has like another tournament coming up for one of the Fight Pass events. Um, but like, all I respect all those girls, but they're pretty good. They pushed me a lot. Um, yeah, I don't have nothing but good things to say about them. They're really good people.
And when I think back to the UFC Fight Pass Invitational that you did, it was the inaugural one. You also went up a weight class. And when I think back to Amanda Maza, when she made her debut with UFC Fight Pass, she also went up a weight class. And I think that just goes to show how willing you guys are to.
Are you talking about Hannah Goldie? Because I think she fights at 115, so they're both the same weight class.
Amanda Maza looks so much smaller than her, though.
I mean, I don't know, but I think Hannah fights at 115, or if she's at 125, then yeah, those girls. Because I used to train with like those. I mean, like, some girls that drop to 125. Like, it's kind of a huge difference. Because I feel like MMA weight is like different than jiu-jitsu weight, whereas MMA weight feels like a bunch of rocks on you, whereas jiu-jitsu still feels strong, but it's not as like, they don't feel as, yeah, as they do. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, no, but like the whole idea of absolute divisions as well. I think I remember like the problem with doing absolute divisions all the time is the risk of injury and all that. But also, it's kind of so fun and entertaining to watch. I think that's why a lot of people are excited about this quintet rule set for CJI, is because we could potentially see a lot of different mismatches and size disparities. So at this point of your career, are you only looking to get matches with people that are in your weight class? Or is the idea of taking on like a weird absolute type of match something that you're interested in?
So I'm not against it. I feel like if you sign up for absolute, like that's your choice. It's everyone's choices when they do it. Coming up in the ranks, I have done a lot of absolute matches. Kind of unfortunate. I can't like find a lot of them, but like they're kind of it's like crappy quality. So like taking a video from like a computer and like with all my matches that I did absolute, especially in purple belt. My first ever match was against a woman that was probably 200 pounds, but I'm gonna try to find it because it's always like floating somewhere. I did a hip toss on her, so I always had good times in the absolute. But every absolute match that I've done, I was always the smallest. Every big girl jump guard on me, close guard, and John on her is always like against jumping close guard in the room, which is right. You're gonna blow someone's ACL, MCL, their knee is gone. But these tournaments, I just personally tell like my friends or the small girls like, hey, it's probably not worth doing the absolute because they're gonna jump guard on you and your knee's probably gonna give out. There's actually a video I have back, I think it was like in when I was a brown belt or something, and it was in the gi, but yeah, the girl like we shake hands. 5 seconds later, she jumps full close guard on me, and you could see my knee like if she had jumped guard at a certain time, my knee would have been done. But thankfully, I'm kind of flexible, and I was able to like hold guard. But yeah, it would have been really bad.
Well, even in the Alexa Yana's fight that you had, when you went in for the takedown and then she immediately went into jump guard, I was like, oh my God, for your knee, because I also carry trauma from someone doing that to me.
Anyone that was like ever like bigger than me, like they always just jumped full close guard, which in their respect, it probably is smart because it's like I'm gonna take the chance of like jumping on the small girl and if whatever. I don't care about her knees. So yeah, I don't agree. I don't think I would ever do like a huge absolute match. No. Unless like it depends on the detail. It just depends on the details. But if you're asking me like, hey, do this tournament, you don't get anything. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Good for you. Good for you. I love it. I mean, when it comes to everything with One Championship that's going down, I know you kind of immediately said that the Jessa Khan rematch is probably not going to happen. Is that probably not going to happen like just like because you don't want it to happen or she doesn't want it to happen? I feel like that would be a match that people would actually kind of like to see because now it's 1-1, right? She at WNO and then
I'm not against it. Cause I think after the match, like they were really nice. I mean, I don't really have anything terrible to say, but she wasn't really nice to me, if I'm gonna be honest. But I think like I saw like her post, kind of like an excuse post. It was an excuse. It was like it's just a factual. I'm not trying to like be mean. It was just like the way she wrote it. But yeah, I mean, like you lost, and it was I feel like, and I just feel like she didn't take me as serious, or maybe she did. I don't know. It's a big match, so I respect her enough, and I think she did take the match seriously. Because she did take my back, like she had opportunities, but I just wanted that belt more than she did at that night, and I was better that night. So, but yeah, after her caption, I was kind of like, all right, when's this rematch? All right, let's go. And then I feel like after that, she did Nogi Worlds, and then after that, I haven't really been paying attention. I don't think she's been competing. I actually don't think she's training, but it's really none of my business, honestly.
Yeah, she is such a youngster, but that'd be crazy to me if she isn't training at all. I think that would be such a fun rematch. How quickly or how soon do you picture yourself getting a match back with One Championship and getting back out there?
I wish I knew. The last thing I heard was asking if I would be interested in fighting, but I was like, I'm focused on jiu-jitsu right now. Yeah, so.
Do you feel like jiu-jitsu is at the place where these promotions, because UFC kind of has the same idea as well, where they should be signing athletes exclusive? Or do you think it's kind of to the point where like maybe jiu-jitsu isn't like MMA yet, and jiu-jitsu athletes, it might be good to be able to have different tournaments that they could do. Like, because since jiu-jitsu, I feel like if you're an athlete, you compete so much versus like MMA fighters, like their max is like 4 times a year.
No, I understand what you're saying. So I'm actually like friends with one of like some of the people that like worked for CJI and everything. I understand about the exclusive contracts, but right now I feel like jiu-jitsu it's a mainstream sport right now, and it is growing. Like I feel like everyone and their mom or their dad, like everyone's doing jiu-jitsu at this point. Like back when I started, it was kind of like, oh, what's that? Is that karate? Um, but the whole thing about exclusive contracts, the one thing I do agree is that yes, for me and Maisa, I'm just giving an example from my weight class. We went against each other. She's a champion. She was number one like for a while, like at the weight class. And then this is another argument too with other promotions that I kind of agree and don't agree with. But since she is the champion of One Championship, and Adele has just as an example, Adele's the champion for who's number one for flow grappling. So now it's like, all right, do we go by that rankings? Do we go by these rankings? I don't really agree with a lot of the flow grappling stuff, if I'm going to be honest. And they have heard my opinion like in the past. I do just feel like jiu-jitsu is still like not at where UFC is, and I think that's where a lot of people want it to be. Like I'm a grappler right now, so obviously I want it to be where the UFC or like the highest promotion, one champ, like where the athletes are getting paid. And I think just with like exclusive contracts, it just kind of depends on like your contract. Like, are you allowed to compete for every promotion or I guess ran by this promotion, ran by this promotion? I think there's also another post I saw recently of like I think Dante was competing, and he was in the number one spot for a while in his weight class, and then him and some other guy, they're in two different contracts, and they're not gonna be able to compete with each other because they're in exclusive contracts, which is kind of like where I think I'm at. So I think that's like the downside of it, and I kind of agree with like Craig Jones on that. But on the other side, it's like, well, I think these athletes are getting paid. These athletes probably have families. This is their career. It supports them. So you kind of, it's kind of a hard balance that I can't really like figure out. But I understand on both sides.
Yeah, I definitely know the most famous case was with Renato Canuto, who's like now, completely doing his own thing
I
at
didn't hear anything about
UFC.
that, but I know I've seen him compete at Fight Pass now, or once at
Yeah.
one, but
So
never really.
he very publicly had like a very not great time with his exclusive contract, and he had issues like getting his fights and then getting out of his fights. And so now he's finally good, and he's going to do his first MMA fight. And I do think it's like an interesting time we're in jiu-jitsu in general, because I 100% agree with anything that you had said about flow grappling in the past, like how they handle their rankings and whatever went on. And now we're
And
in
like
like an
being
interesting
in a
time with
sport
like
for so
changing
long, I'm
power.
sorry to cut you off. So sorry.
No, you're good.
But I feel so old saying this, but being in the sport for so long, like I started like when I was 8 years old, I've seen how jiu-jitsu and promotions and streaming as in like flow grappling, and mostly it's flow grappling because that's like the site for all jiu-jitsu. Um, I've seen like how it all evolved, like when five grappling was a thing, when Metamoris was kind of like going to be like that tournament, and after one event, I think it just went away. Um, just seeing like all I guess it's called revolution. I'm sorry. Yeah, seeing this revolution of the sport. It's kind of amazing because like back then, like you wouldn't be able to make money at a tournament. The most you probably make, like when I was a kid, I think I made $20 at like a random in-house tournament. But I was a kid, so it was like a big deal to me at the time. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I won $20. And then I tried at like some random tournament that I did in New York, and I got like it was a 4 woman bracket or 6 woman bracket, I forget, but I won $500, and it was like such a big deal, like, oh, it's so much money, and it was the only way to make money at the time. But I forget where I was going with this. I had like a good point. I'm sorry.
No,
I
you're
always do
good.
this.
It happens
Oh,
to
the
me
flow
all the time
grappling
too.
thing. Yeah, the flow grappling thing. Yeah, just coming up in the sport and just looking from like the outside, I just feel like it's just in like a really tough spot just because like there's just a lot of promotions, and sometimes they're pushing certain athletes, sometimes they're pushing certain agendas, sometimes they're like it just really depends. Yeah, I think like, I will give credit for both like CJI, ADCC, and like all those tournaments. Like everyone is so good, and you just have to like you have to fight the best, and that's like why they're like such a popular tournament and name. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think jiu-jitsu. I just think jiu-jitsu right now is still progressing. Like we're getting there, but it just depends. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain it.
No, I 100% understand everything
It's
that
like
you're
right
saying.
there, but I'm like, I don't know how to say it in words. But I think like when the first CGI event happened, that brought like a lot of eyes like to the event. Like people who only focus on MMA, everyone like knew like who Craig Jones was. Everyone knew like what CGI was because they were watching it. Yeah, it's just really cool to like see like the casuals are kind of like getting into jiu-jitsu. Like they don't train but they're watching it. It was because of that. So I feel like for One Championship too, like a lot of people like it because they have like a lot of martial arts. Like there's Muay Thai, boxing. It's different. It's not just MMA. But it's cool like now that UFC Fight Pass, like I will say like all the promotions that are pushing jiu-jitsu, they're doing a great thing. It's not just keeping in like a small like circle and not helping the athletes. So I think the I don't know what that word is. I'm sorry. Drawing a blank. I think they're all like doing like good. It's just more like, all right, we have to try to get to this direction to make it like a NBA sport or I don't know, football sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely so many different strategies that I feel like is going on right now. Like we have the different team formats that are going on. We have new power and control of flow grappling, and I think they're really trying to redo a lot of different things. When it comes to your longevity with One Championship, is it like a yearly thing? Like, do you have a certain number of matches left with One Championship? I don't know if they'll let you do that, but like, is it
Actually,
possibility
from what
that
I
you might be
saw,
able to release?
actually, the One Championship grapplers can do CGI. And I have a screenshot of it because I saw the post and I was like, yes, we can do it. Not just the guys, the girls. Girl here. But yeah, yeah, I saw that, and if I get asked, I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do it. Let's go.
Yay! I love how they let Cade and Ty do it. I know they both kind of got a little bit
I think
of
the
an
teams. I
injury,
think
but
like Giancarlo and them are on in because he's in One Championship. He has a match coming up in one, but it's in August, I think. But I think he's doing the tournament, so yeah, I'll do it. The
that's
One
so
Championship
exciting.
athletes are allowed to.
Tell me what you feel like would be your dream super fight, and also the one, maybe not just your dream super fight, but also the one that you feel like would move the biggest needle under the
It's really
CJI
hard to say
platform.
because like I don't. There's actually a lot of UFC girls, like Mackenzie Dern, for example. Like have really good jiu-jitsu backgrounds. Like there's a lot in the 125 weight class. There's a lot. There's some in the 115. Both of them. So I don't want to be that person like, oh, I just want to go against MMA fighters, blah blah blah. Because I compete against jiu-jitsu people every day, or I'm sorry, train with them. Biggest matches, I don't know, because honestly, me and Jessa, we have the biggest, like the most viewed match probably for I don't know if for women's grappling. I think for Mackenzie Dern, like one of her old matches back then. Like I think because she's a popular UFC fighter. But for me and Jessa for the 115 match, like the highest views, like over 10 million, or even more than that, like on their site or on YouTube, One Championship, Instagram. I don't know. I feel like whenever I compete, I feel like a lot of people want to either see me win or lose. Like I bring the views to the matches just because I try to like make it exciting, but I also want to win. Especially now, like my last two matches, I feel like a lot of people are doubting me, so I'm just motivated to like, all right, let me just go back in there. Like I want to just compete. Um, I was supposed to have a match with Rose Namajunas, but that match kind of went out the window just because she had COVID at the time, so it just never worked out. And then Carla, she slammed me, and yeah, I don't know.
There's so many different like permutations that we could go that I think would make a fun match. I feel like, I know we had Mackenzie Dern do a super fight last time, but would you be interested in the Mackenzie Dern one?
Yeah, of course.
I feel like that one's fun because like everyone loves Mackenzie, and then we'll do like jiu-jitsu
like,
versus MMA again.
Like, I always, like, online, it's kind of weird, like, guys look bigger or smaller online than we see them in person. They're like, oh, wow, I thought you were bigger. I thought you were smaller. When I saw Mackenzie Dern, I thought she looked, like, bigger online. But then when I kind of, like, stood next to her at CJI, I was like, holy crap, this girl's kind of, like, we're almost the same height. She's, like, pretty small. So I was like, okay, she definitely fights at 115.
She is very tiny. But I feel like you guys are probably, like, the same size, no?
I mean, for MMA, I feel like they have to put on muscle just because they're, they're throwing punches, and it's probably better to be stronger or a little heavier, and then you cut a lot of weight. But I think like walk around weight right now I'm between 115, 120. Yeah, I have like no desire to really put a lot of muscle on because I did that like in my last match, and I didn't feel mobile. I guess that's the word. I don't know. It's not the same, but yeah, I think we're the same size. But yeah, that would be a really fun match. And I've been watching her since I started jiu-jitsu at 8, 9 years old. So that would be like what's that? Like
full circle moment.
Yeah, like I started jiu-jitsu, and this is the only girl that coming up that I really watched jiu-jitsu when IBJJF wasn't really a big deal, and now she's in the UFC, and then I'm about to stand right next to her, stand in front of her if we ever compete or in the future. Yeah, that would be like a holy crap moment.
I think it definitely needs to happen. We already have the blessing from Chatri that we can have his one championship fighters. And then also, yeah, Mackenzie Dern said she was down too. So
oh my
what
God,
did you say?
yes. Okay.
We're manifesting this one. We're manifesting this one. Because now we have, at the end of the month, Ffion Davies versus Adele Fornarino happening. Do you have any early predictions for that match?
Man, I am a fan of both. I like Ffion, but I don't know Adele much. But I've hung out with Ffion, so I was gonna be like, yeah, let's go Ffion. But I like both of their jiu-jitsus. I think they have both different styles. Sorry, that was not English. They both have different styles. However, I know they competed once before at the other ADCC 2022, right? I think so. Yeah, 2022.
Yes.
I will say, like, from Adele, from that match and then to now, she has progressed a lot. Can't take that away from her. But that's also to say, like, Ffion has beaten every girl that's at the top. She's beaten every big name as well. Sorry, my phone keeps, like, falling. She's beaten every girl at the top, big names too, different weight classes. I don't really follow the bigger weight classes, but I would say, like, 125 is the most, or 135 I'll watch. But I know she's beaten Gabby McComb. Like, Gabby McComb had like subbed her before, but then Ffion came back. Like, she just keeps improving as well. But for this match, I think I'm gonna go with Ffion. Like, not just being biased, but I just think, she's been the best for a while. I think Adele. I don't know if I feel like Adele walks a little heavier, but she is the 115 title holder for who's number one. So maybe like Ffion will have like a little weight, but I don't think that matters. Like, she seems pretty strong and big for her weight class as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna go with decision, Ffion.
And when it comes to the news that happened last year with ADCC and them adding a lighter division, I know that isn't exactly perfect for you because you're still a little bit lighter than that. But and did that give you any hope that they might add another division that's even lighter?
I think so. Because jiu-jitsu keeps growing. There's a lot of I feel like back then too, like especially for MMA. I know we were on the topic of like jiu-jitsu MMA, but there was only one weight class for women. It was at 135, and it just was harder for like the smaller girls. And yeah, 135, and then you had like Michelle Watterson, who was a 105er, and then she had to keep going up to like 125, or fighting heavier girls, and it was kind of like a huge disadvantage on her because she was the lightest. It would be really cool just because there are a lot of up and coming girls that from like flow grappling and from AOJ. It's like the only school that I can think of like where there's a lot of smaller girls, and especially they do like a lot of the gi classes. There's big names, and I feel like they're pretty scrappy. They're exciting. We're all exciting, excuse me, and I feel like that would bring a lot of attention to the bracket. I think people will be really excited to see that.
Is there any part of you that is considering the November 15th and 16th ADCC East Coast trials?
I think it's streamed by Flow. I don't think I'm allowed to really do it, but obviously if there's a weight class or if I'm allowed to, yeah, I would do it in a heartbeat. I did it I did it like 4 years ago. It was fun. But
Everyone wants
I
to
was
see you
against a
back there for
girl that was
sure.
like way bigger than me. But it used to be minus 135 and 135 higher. So that was not really fun for me, but it was still fun.
I mean, what was the opinion when all the ADCC drama was originally going down? And I think the biggest like win from that whole drama is that it kind of just highlighted in general some of the things that people didn't even know. Like they didn't really know that the payout for the champion would be $10,000 and that there was no show money. So from your perspective as someone that has been in this sport for so long, how big of a year was 2024 to say like, okay, these are professional athletes. They're going to get show money and there is going to be an upping and matching in women's pay to men's. Like there was just so much
Yeah.
stuff that went down in 2024.
Okay, so I'm gonna say on both sides of the spectrum just because I can see from both sides, but as a female, like obviously I've been on the side where I was the main event and I got paid less than the co-main event guys. That's like a whole nother story for another time. So I understand, like, man, I'm doing this tournament and you guys are getting paid more than me. Like, what's the point? Like, we're all on this for doing the same thing. Um, I think back then it made more sense just because there was not a lot of women in the sport. And when ADCC was like the only paying tournament, there was Gabby Garcia, there was Kara Gracie, and I think it was just I might not be too sure, but I think there was only one weight class, and then eventually I think 2004, 2005, or 2006 they added like the minus 135, and that's where Kira Gracie I think won the whole thing. Maybe not. I could be totally wrong, but I think Kira Gracie. There wasn't a lot of women at the time. It was like it made sense to not pay that much. And now I agree with the argument of there's so many women from like the 2 years ago ADCC. Like why isn't there another weight class? Why aren't they getting paid as much as the guys? Like they do a lot of hard work. They're showing up. There's no reason for it to be I think it's like $5,000 less than what the guys got paid. That I agree with, but I think like in the beginning it just didn't make sense just because there wasn't many women in the sport. But now there is. It should be just the same as the guys. I will say too, like for just some women matches, just being on both sides, I think like it depends like who brings in the views and that's how you get paid. I 100% agree on that. It's kind of like saying like a blue belt expects to get paid a huge amount of money for showing up to a match. But he's just a blue belt and like no one really knows him or will watch him. So and those both sides like I kind of agree with.
Yeah,
Hope
it's
that makes sense.
definitely
Sorry.
not black and white for sure. I was curious if there's anything going on in your near future because you said that you're going on a flight and that there's like different seminars and stuff. So where can people expect to see you or look forward to what you're doing?
On my Instagram, and I'm getting back to streaming because I missed it. Like I'm on RuneScape right now, so if people like want to watch me rant or anything about jiu-jitsu, drama, anything, they can watch me on Twitch or Instagram, Danielle Kelly BJJ. This weekend I'm in Vermont teaching seminar. I actually kind of like put off seminars just because I just needed a break because I kept doing a lot of seminars, and from my last match I was kind of like traveling a lot, and I felt like yeah, I probably shouldn't have competed, but it was one of those things. It was like, all right, if you don't take this match, then we don't know like when you'll compete. So I was like, all right, cool. Like I just got back from Ireland. I just got back from Ibiza for a trip and back to camp for like 3-4 weeks. So I took a little break from just doing seminars, but I'm getting back into it. Vermont this weekend, Savannah in like a month or so, and a few like in Jersey, like when I stay over the summer.
And when can we count on seeing Danielle Kelly on the commentary desk for some of these jiu-jitsu One Championship matches going on? I feel like that's like an easy plug that they should be doing.
I'm not opposed to it, but yeah, I don't know. Let's ask them.
I saw that when you did main character jiu-jitsu, I was like, yes, Danielle. I just want to hear Danielle talk because some of your other co-commentators were getting a little having too much fun. And I'm like,
It's
can
so
I just
weird
listen
'cause, like,
to Danielle
I like
talk?
commentating with both of them. They're fun to commentate with, but there's always people like online, or maybe it was their friends. I don't know. Like one of them is a really good commentator, but the other one, like Andrew, like he's a pro grappler. Like it's not his like go to like first thing. Oh, I'm gonna go commentate. Like we all have like our goods and our bads. Like maybe we're bad at it or good at it, but like it was still fun. Like it was still enjoyable. But I knew like what was going on in matches, so I kept trying to like focus on like what was going on. But yeah, I have no complaints. But people always try to find something to like complain about.
I think it's honestly a good balance because when you have like the UFC broadcast, you have John Anik kind of keeping them on track, Daniel Cormier kind of being the silly goose. So Andrew being the silly goose, I think that's what you need. He's the most exciting fighter. I think he has the right to be a little silly.
Yeah, I mean, who's the commentators for CJI usually? It was you, do you
So
know? Or you just did interviews?
I only did the post-fight interviews, but it was Brandon McCatherine, Howell Teague, and Josh
Oh
Palmer.
wow. Oh yeah, I remember. Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
everyone
he's
always
bringing
has
in
something to
background.
complain about because even when they were doing it, they were like, "Oh, it's like we have three like color commentators." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" First, people don't know enough about jiu-jitsu, and then like they know too much about jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I can't keep up with everything, but I definitely think that
Yeah,
is
it's
like
just
such an
good.
awesome
Like a lot of
role for you.
people when they ask me, like there's like I guess some drama like in today's like jiu-jitsu world. It's just one of those things. I guess as a competitor, it's just like it's none of my business. You know, I wish them well. Like next day, I'm gonna go train and compete. Like it's just another day. Has nothing to do with me. So yeah.
Yeah, no, there's definitely been so much going on in the jiu-jitsu world. So I'm glad you're able to steer clear of all the crazy energy that's been going on. Is there anything upcoming? I know you just mentioned your seminars, but anything you want to let the fans know about and what they can expect next for you?
Hopefully I'm competing soon. I don't know when I'm competing yet, unfortunately. So that I'm just training every day, competing. So I'll keep posting on my Instagram for everybody. So, yeah, keep posted, I guess.
If you enjoyed that interview, be sure to check out this one.